We going live now.
All right, welcome everybody.
Wait, it's still loading. What the fuck?
Okay.
Let me get my face off of here.
Let me know.
And go.
Welcome everybody. We are XJW Talk Therapy and Support. We are here today to have a discussion, and we always have weekly discussions on Mondays and Wednesdays. We also have our calendar filled up for the month of November. So in the announcements, you can find the different discussions that we're going to have coming up. You'll also see the events that we have coming up as always. Definitely want to say welcome again. We do ask people to definitely hop in on the discussions. Just for a disclaimer, just to let you know, we are a group that is trying to get the word out about this JW cult. So we're a group that speaks out. Therefore, when we do these live discussions, we do record them. So if you decide you want to hop in on the discussion, please make sure that you keep your cameras down if you do not want your face in there. These discussions will be aired live. So just want to make sure that you guys know that, just for our protection and just so that you will know this. Also, we're going to keep the group discussion at an hour today. Today we're going to be discussing, I know Jessica, she's up here, but she's going to have a PowerPoint up here. I know we're going to be discussing how to get, this is one of the topics that was asked for, how to get out and how to stay out of the organization once you do get out of the organization. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and have Jessica to come up here and start the discussion.
All right, thank you everyone. Again, if you do join the Zoom, if you don't want your name or face, please pay attention to what your name is as you come into the room. Pay attention to whether your camera's on or off. We don't want anyone to feel like their privacy's been violated. So today we're going to have just a little discussion. Is my screen up? I want to make sure everyone can see the PowerPoint.
Yeah, I can see the discussion. I can see that. Mm-hmm.
All right. So today we're just going to discuss how to get out and stay out. And before we jump into the discussion, I just want to make a disclaimer here. We are not professionals. We are not, mental health experts. These are all just our opinions and stuff we found online that relates to getting out of toxic situations, including cults, relationships, things you can do. So, but we kind of tailored it to people who are leaving the Watchtower organization. So yeah, I love this little picture here. It kind of.
I love it too. Love it.
All right. So we're going to talk about getting out, staying safe, recovering and staying out, and then we're going to open up to anyone who's watching who wants to jump in and give their opinion and kind of have an open floor discussion about the whole thing. So the first thing to do, as I was going through Google and, I don't use Bing, but, I do use Wikipedia a little bit. I know it's not peer reviewed, but as I was going through, the first thing that came up at anything, whether you're dealing with cults, whether you're dealing with relationships, was to make a plan. So one thing they talked about, especially with religious groups, is to make a list of people who could help you. This means that as you're going to work, if you have a job, you could be working anywhere. When you meet people as you're out grocery shopping, or I know you're not encouraged to make friends, but as you do this, keep a note of who they are. Your doctor, your coworker, anyone who can help you when you leave. You may need them to help you find a job, maybe some, anything. So just have a contact list. Keep it to yourself, of course, and just don't be afraid to make bad association, as they say, because it's that association that's gonna protect you when you leave. I mean, Dion, what do you think about that? I mean, that was something that I ended up doing, and it completely saved my life.
I definitely think that's a great thing to do, because of the simple fact, like me personally, when I got ready to leave, I didn't have a plan of action. I just left, and I didn't have anyone to depend on. So I just figured my way out. It would have been so much easier if I did have a plan of action and had some people that I could actually turn to. And if I had a thought like you just expressed it to us, to reach out to people that we work with, reach out to people that we may go to school with, our neighbors, doctors. If I had have known this, then that's what I would have done. So I think that's very good. That's very good advice.
Mm-hmm. And to not be afraid of contacting these people when they know your situation. They will be willing to help. Another thing was to find a place to stay. Some of you may be living with your parents, a spouse, or anyone who is just gung ho. I mean, at one point, I knew several pioneer sisters who were living together, you know, going out in service together. So if you're in that kind of situation, you may need a place to stay, or perhaps you live too close to your family at this point where they could keep knocking on your door. You may want to move further away. So these are things you have to think about in advance. Don't just, I ended up being homeless actually for several months because I was just like, I got to get out of here. You know, I had moved into a new place, but they had that address too. So, you know, please do better than I did. Find a place to stay. If you need to reach out to the admins of the group, if you're struggling, contact us. We can help you find somewhere or someone in your area. The third point here is don't stop attending services. Don't alert them to you. Oh my God, I did that. I stopped going. I switched to Nepal. And I ended up with shepherding calls and all sorts of sisters calling me, visiting me, tracks in my door. It was, oh my God. So if I can offer just a little bit of advice, this was actually something I put on there. Do not suddenly start going to the hall much more or drop your activities. Don't do one or the other. Keep stuff normal, because if you don't, it can lead to a shepherding call and judicial actions and a lot of other things that they do to try to keep you in the organization. I mean,
you don't want those chains to be still on you once you want. I think that's a good idea too, to go ahead and maybe just like, I wonder if it will work, because some people may not even be able to stomach to be around anymore, because I personally could not have stomached any more of it. So maybe if I had kind of like left earlier or something, maybe, and still went, but you know, had excuses as to why I was leaving her, because I did get all of those shepherding calls and all those knocks at the door.
Yeah, it's really hard to deal with listening to the quote unquote rhetoric that they have and not want to upchuck in your seat. But the downside to that is if you do have to stop, you have to be prepared to have something to say as to why you're not showing up, or they're going to be preaching to you. Right. So this is all just planning, you know, things you can think about as you're packing your bag or keeping, and if you're, you know, keeping copies of your personal documents, things you can do while you're preparing to leave. Anything else you can think about, Dion, about the preparation or planning process?
I just feel like the advice that you gave as far as just make plans, it's always good to have that plan of action. And that's basically what it is, planning, because a lot of us, or probably in the past, are people that just don't have that type of mindset to just go ahead and plan. We just live for it right then, and we're trying to get away from the situation. So basically, yes, like you said, just have a plan of action, period.
All right, so our next topic here is staying safe. This were things to think about as you're leaving. So as you decide to make that big step, you decided, you know what, not going back anymore. I've got my bag packed. I got a place to go. I know what I'm going to do. How do you stay safe as you're exiting? And by staying safe, it can mean a lot of things. For people in abusive relationships, it means not being killed, not being physically harmed. And when you're leaving a religious organization, it can mean your mental health. How are you going to leave safely without suddenly causing that abrupt attack that happens when anyone thinks about leaving the organization? You know, you suddenly get swarmed on, like a hornet's nest, with brothers and sisters, elders, and ministerial servants contacting you. So these are just some of the things you can think about. Again, this comes from a variety of situations. It could be religious organizations, toxic relationships, but again, it all applies here. The first thing to do is finding an opportunity to get away. And again, these are for people who are living with other witnesses. If you can't come and go without someone asking you where you're going, or your parents, you may want to leave when you have a friend visit or a coworker come by, or you may want to set this up so that when you leave, it's not a jarring people hugging you, grabbing you. Don't leave, don't leave, don't leave. An Uber, if you don't have a car, the bus stop, anything, just so that it's a smooth transition. And I don't know if that's possible for everyone, but it was one of the tips that was given. I mean, what do you think about that, Dion?
I believe it's possible, and the only reason why I say it's possible, it goes right back to what we were saying at first, because you're planning this action out. These actions are being planned. Therefore, if you have put in a plan of action, then you just go by it step by step. The same way we've been always doing things step by step, written out for us, and we've been doing it step by step. That's the only thing you have to do. Things that are written down generally come to life. So just write your plans out and make it come to life.
Yep, I couldn't have said it better. So another thing to think about is, as you leave, once you leave, it may be a smooth exit, but people are going to eventually notice. You haven't come to a meeting, you're not answering your phone. You missed a book study and a field service for 2 months in a row. What's going on here? Be prepared with your responses. Keep your contact short, keep it brief. And if some of the things that are said are harassing, you may want to document it. Now, this is something I found especially with exes, but I guess in certain states or areas, it's illegal for the members to continually harass you, especially the same person over and over again. So if you are telling them to leave you alone and they don't stop, you can decide whether you want to involve law enforcement, if you want to get a PPO. I didn't do any of this. I wish I had, because they've been stalking me from every home that I've been in. But these are just tips to kind of stay safe. Anything else to add?
Yeah, and from my personal experience, if I had have had these type of directions and this type of advice, I would have definitely contacted law enforcement, because I was stalked for 2 years by Jehovah's Witnesses coming to my door, sending letters over and over again. And it's like everywhere I went, they were there, and I just didn't understand how they were finding me and contacting me. So yeah, definitely, if you have to involve law enforcement, then definitely involve law enforcement. Jehovah's Witnesses do not like the law. So yeah, include them.
That is very true. They don't like them getting involved with the folks.
They don't like that at all.
They have publicity. All right. So next is recovering and staying out. Once you've left, how do you prevent yourself from going back in, especially when you are constantly being harassed? These different 4 things, that I found were, I was surprised at some of the advice that was given, because it said to focus on yourself instead of trying to rescue other people. And I think that's a mistake a lot of us make when we first leave.
Right.
We think that we're in a position to help others. I mean, I've been out for 10 years, and when I first left, I thought I was the bomb and I had everything figured out, and life bitch slapped me. But it's a true point. Don't contact other people who are inside. You're not ready for that the first few weeks or months you're out. You're not ready to kind of combat years and years of brainwashing. So you should focus on yourself, rebuilding yourself, so that eventually you can be that good example, but don't just jump headfirst into it. You got to take time and focus on yourself.
And that's interesting that you said that, because it is a healing process. And that's what we have to realize. Just like if you've gotten into any type of accident with your body, say you broke your back or something, just because you've been maybe 6 months out and you feel like your back is good, it's a healing process. Your back still has a lot more healing to do. You may need a year or two. Same way when your brain is washed, when you've been brainwashed, that is also a healing process. You need your brain to heal. You need your mind, body, and soul to heal. So yeah, that's totally a good thing that they said, is to focus on yourself.
Yep. All right. So they also gave, the other general information, joining groups, talking to other people who've been through similar situations. And I believe this is an excellent thing. But they also talked about seeing a counselor. So when you've been inside that organization for years, and this is something I got directly from a cult passage, it's hard to readjust to life outside, because some of us never experienced life outside, or some of us hadn't experienced it for years. It's kind of like when someone goes to prison and they come out and they're like, oh my God, I've been there 20 years. What's all this technology? Well, there's a new society rules and new things that you can get involved with. And some of that may be dangerous. So having a counselor to help you navigate that, your feelings and the emotional withdrawals that you receive can help you adjust.
And what if one may say, well, I don't know if I can afford counseling?
Well, that's when you go look for resources. And that's something that we're actually working towards in getting a program for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses.
Because I know we've been brought up to figure that, counseling and therapy, I know that's the way I was brought up. Counseling and therapy were a no-no. You basically get your counseling and therapy from within the organization.
I mean, it was even brought up that if you need counseling, something's wrong with you religiously. Your faith isn't strong enough. So right. That's something else to think about. And that goes along with what we see here, which is continue to explore your ideas and beliefs. Learn how to think critically for yourself and make your own decisions. A lot of what's programmed in us is going to be hard to overcome. We may not know who we are and what our real personality is. So we have to explore different viewpoints, different programs, different books, read and learn about different theories until we can come up with what our actual thoughts and feelings are about different things.
I can appreciate all of that.
Mm-hmm. And last but not least, working on our boundaries. We got to remember why we left. What was that thing that triggered you? What was the point that you could not get over, and focus on that? Because you may run out into people in the grocery stores from your former congregations. I mean, I ran into people all over the place, and I used to be terrified to run into these people.
Oh my gosh. Now
I could run into a witness and beam, smile, and speak to them and make them really uncomfortable, because I no longer worry about their opinion. I've come to remember why I left, and I've come to my own personality. And as you work on those boundaries and you practice making your own decisions every day, that confidence grows to where any of us could be in a room and have 5 witnesses walk in and be confident in who we are and what we believe. And that's the goal that all of us, have.
It's like, oh, how the tables turn when you finally start using your own mind.
Yes. So we kind of went over a lot here. Let me go back to over a lot here. And I think we can open up just for a regular discussion. So if you want to join in the conversation, please hop on the Zoom And feel free to give us your thoughts. Remember, pay attention to whether your camera's showing and what your name is. The link is actually in the bottom of the video. But
we want everybody to feel safe. We want this to be a safe place for you. We don't want you to make you feel like you're uncomfortable. But we do want the discussions, and we do want to make sure that we are getting the word out to a lot of people that may need the help. That is the reason why we're doing these discussions. We do these discussions, and they do stream live. So they can stream on Facebook Live and not stream on YouTube, but they will be put onto YouTube. So we don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable. So make sure that your cameras are down. If you don't want your name shown or whatever, please don't have it shown or whatever, but we do want to get the word out. That's the reason why I really wanted to have this group anyway, because it's time for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses that have been hurt by this organization. It's time for us to speak out and stop keeping our mouths closed, because this is the only way that we're going to be able to save other people from joining it. We're going to be able to help people that are trying to get out the same way we're having this discussion right now. We'll be able to help people actually to get out of the situation. It may be someone that comes across something that you may say, and it may click. You never know who you're going to help, but this is the reason why we're speaking out, and this is what we're doing to help. And it's also helping us to heal as well.
So let's talk about our exes. Deanna, I guess I'm gonna run by you.
Sure.
What was your process of getting out like? I mean, you talked to us about, getting married, and what was that triggering moment that made you go, I gotta
My
leave?
triggering moment had to be when they were coming to this shelter to study with me. Like, I was really gung-ho trying to make sure that I did right, because even after I left home, I was still like, let me go ahead, and now I'm doing this for me, and so I was like, let me go ahead and do what I got to do for, to work with Jehovah's organization, to be inside of his organization, and to try to have a full understanding of it for myself. Me personally, I'm an unconditional loving person. I love people unconditionally. I don't have that attribute that keeps me from loving someone because of certain things that they do, certain ways that they live or whatever. I'm still gonna love you. But just because I didn't see that unconditional love coming to me from the people in the organization, I just saw them just like, they weren't thinking about dealing with me for help, but they were dealing with me to come and study with me at the shelter that I was in. I was homeless with a 3-month-old baby, and that was because of the simple fact that I had gotten shunned. I mean, they had started the shunning then. I wasn't even this fellowship, but the shunning had already started because I was more like being looked down on. Oh, you got a kid. And by the way, I was married, so I just was married to someone that wasn't in this organization. But that was my breaking point right there, when I had to have another organization, which the lady that helped me out, I will never forget her name. Her name is Faye Taylor, and she actually got me an apartment. I was 20. She got an apartment for me, filled the apartment up with furniture. I got all the extensions that I needed for the inside of the home in there. She got everything for me. And I was like, the organization that I was born into, I was raised up with these people for many years of my life, and these people wouldn't even look at me other than to come and study with me at the shelter that I was in. That was my breaking point right there.
Wow.
Yeah, that was raw. It was savage. What would you say yours was?
I'm trying to remember. I think it was, I had gotten privately reproved, and from my memory, of course, is vague at that time because of all that was going on. There were so many of us coming in and out at the same time. And at one point, my vision was double. I had no idea that was the whole DID thing, but I was struggling with work, and the brothers came to my house, and instead of trying to comfort me or see what's going on, it was all about getting me to come to the hall for judicial committee hearings. And one of them even said, when you're not right with Jehovah, your health can also reflect that. And it, at that time, the doctors were concerned it was neurological and they couldn't figure it out. And to have someone blame religion or my religious beliefs for my health and not really be concerned about what was going on, it struck me that there was a level of bigotry for being supposedly privately reproved for being gay, and there was a level of ignorance, and those two together just kind of combined for me, and that was it.
Especially when you're trying to get help and then somebody's, hey, come, you need to come and get disciplined. We need you in this back room.
Yeah, I mean, that was all it was about. When can you come by the hall? We need to talk to you. It's like you're sitting on my couch and you're talking to me right now, and I'm not feeling well, but your entire goal is to get me so you can disfellowship me. Like, it was very
imperative for them to do that.
Yeah, that's all that was on their mind.
I'm so glad I didn't get baptized because of that reason, not because of the shunning, because that happened anyway, but just because I didn't want people breathing down my neck, and like, I never liked the back room, and I didn't want anyone breathing down my neck and judging me and stuff, because already you're going through a mental hell, and then to have some elders over you just like putting you down and making you feel like the lowest level of life. Who needs that, especially when you're going through things mentally?
Yep.
So how did that make you? How did you manage to stay out then? I'll ask you that.
I can't really take credit for that. As I said, my condition was a little different. I kind of blacked out for years. So, but from what I understand, Jesse and Emma just kind of ran away and built an entirely different life. They avoided anything that would trigger any of us and just focused on becoming financially secure, because at that time we had ran away from our job, our home, and everything, and we were living on people's couches. So at that point, I was so focused on survival that there was no reason to even think about the religion. And then once I became more secure, at that point, it was just staying away from them.
Right.
Oh, and therapy.
Oh, see, therapy. That's what I wish I could have gotten. That's the reason why I'm doing things like this, because this definitely helps me. And my thing about staying out, I believe what made me just like get away from it and stay away from it is because I grew up so unhappy, and I didn't want to continue to be, in that state of mind. It's like it's already been a hard life. Why am I going to add on to this by continuing to stay in the organization, be a part of an organization that continuously is judging me, and I had to be so straight and narrow, and you never can make a mistake, because God forbid you make one mistake and you're going to be destroyed at Armageddon. And I just got sick and tired, and the only thing I can't get out of my head is the end. That's the only thing I can't get out of my head. But I just did not like the lifestyle. And like I said, I had my daughter, and I refused to bring my daughter up like that, because I thought they robbed us of our childhood, for one thing. And I refused to raise my daughter like that. I wanted her to be able to celebrate her whenever it was her birthday. I wanted her to be able to, even though I don't get down really with the holidays, and I don't even think it's so much of the organization, that's something personal within me. But I still wanted my daughter to enjoy that if she decided she wanted to when she get older. So I made sure that she was able to celebrate everything. I made sure she was in all types of events. I just wanted to be more normalized. That's the reason what kept me out, because if I had stayed in with my kid, I wouldn't have been able to have her have a normal, happy childhood. And she thanks me all the time for not bringing her up in the organization that I was brought up in all the time.
Yeah, I mean, an essential thing for me was For a long time while I was out, I was very anti-religion, and I think that came from a place of fear. And so therapy really helped me get over that fear of the end, get over that fear of that I'm doing something wrong. And it took years. I will say I've been in therapy with the same doctor for coming up on 7 years now. And I want to say the first 5 or 6 of that was spent focused on the religion, and we really didn't come to terms with everything until just this last year. So, I mean, the brainwashing is deep. It is deep, and mental health, a counselor who is skilled in trauma and cult thinking, in cult how cults work, is essential, because I went through several therapists before finding one that was actually effective.
That reminds me of what you and I were talking about the other day, when we want to make sure that we focus on therapists that actually can help ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, because regardless of whether we know it or not, and regardless of whether we think we're special or not, these are special cases. It's a special, I mean, when you were raised in a cult, there's a whole different mental thing that they have tapped into inside of your brain and in your mind, and you don't even realize it. So you going to a regular therapist is not going to help, because a regular therapist, like I was looking at some information the other day, a regular therapist may try to get you to go back to the religion, may try to get you to forgive the ones that shunned you. They may try to get you to find another religion. And at this point, when you're just getting out of something like that and you need help, mental help, you don't need anyone to push you into any type of religion. You don't need anyone to push you back towards where you're trying to come from. You need that mental help, and it's a special type of therapist that's needed for that.
Because a lot of times what you're dealing with are people who don't really know what they believe. We know what we've been told, we know what we've been exposed to so far, but there's so much that we haven't been exposed to, and there's a huge level of cognitive dissonance there, because you're going against what you've been brought up to know. You're going against everything, basically, and you need a therapist that is skilled in picking out the bullshit. I can't think of any other way to say it, but picking out the bullshit. What are you saying that's rhetoric, and what are you saying that's really you? And that's not a skill a lot of therapists have. And some therapists may put in their own personal beliefs as far as what they believe and try to push that on you. And so you have to get someone who's certified in trauma therapy. And I think that's people don't want to say it's trauma, and that's the problem. You know,
there's so much trauma. God knows it's trauma. And I really don't think people realize it, and you don't really realize it until you get to some point in your life. Like, I'm really just starting to realize it over the last few years, I guess the last 5-6 years, and I'm just probably realizing it. No, I think maybe the last 8 years, but here recently it's gotten even more to the point. I think last year was when I realized that I was brought up in a cult, though. But I did realize that mentally, like, I feel like it's definitely done a lot of trauma to me. And you don't realize it until you start, you go through life and you start thinking about certain things, look back on the way that you handle certain situations. And you look at your life now and like, okay, something didn't go right. The reason why I made decisions to get me where I am now.
And a lot of times when you go to these doctors, the first thing they throw at you is CBT, behavioral therapy. They always want to focus on your behaviors and what you're doing. But it's deeper than that. You need to focus on the why of the situation and where this is coming from. And sometimes therapists think that their clients are a lot further ahead than they actually are. I mean, for me, when I first started going to therapy, I mean, a lot of people thought that I was completely okay. And it was more conversation about my life and with my day-to-day activities. And there was no depth to the conversation. There was no reaching in to see if I was hiding anything or why I was making the decisions I was making. And so that little CBT therapy is not, it's not enough for people like us.
And a lot of people don't realize that too, because just like what you just said made me think about, they're not digging in because they see what's on the outside. We've always been taught not to go deep. We're surface people. That's the way I look at it. We've never been, we can't even really grieve for a funeral. We're taught not to go that deep. So
we
when
were
they're
taught
looking
to
at
have a good appearance. Appearance is everything.
Exactly. We were taught to be actresses and actors. That's the way I look at it. So we didn't even know who we were when we did leave the cult. And there's a lot of people that still are coming into themselves. And I feel like I'm coming into myself more. Now I'm 45 years old and I feel like I'm coming into myself now, not knowing all those years, because I ran crazy when I got out of there, because it was just like, I was like, whoa, this is the world, because I've been kept sheltered so long. I didn't even, I put up a post today about the cursing thing. I think you commented on it, and I didn't even know how to curse when I first got out, but I knew I wanted to do it because I was like, I felt like it was so much to come out. So yeah.
What kind of language were you using?
Yeah, I don't know what I was using, but people was like, you don't even know how to curse. I figured it out though.
Yeah. And one thing about a lot of the therapy practices, how are you going to control your behavior if you don't even know why you're acting the way you're acting? So when you go to some of these therapists and they think you're, by appearance, that you're all up there, everything that they're saying, you're like, I totally agree with you. That don't mean I can do it.
And we've been brought up to agree with everything.
So finding someone who goes beneath that surface, I mean, I don't even want to be doing a plug for a particular type of therapy, but if you want to know more about it, I'll talk about it if I ever do a special on it. But one of the therapies that my doctor used, she never accepted what I said. She just kept making me keep talking. And eventually I would say something that would be actually true. And she'd be like, what? And so I love that there are therapists, there are trauma therapists that go deeper than the surface and will get you to admit where stuff is coming from. And if we could, find these therapists and hook them up with former witnesses, I think that's a combination that'll be just fantastic.
And that's what we're trying to do as a group, try to have that as a resource, so that you will be like Jesse was saying earlier, we want to be that group that you come here to talk therapy and support. And, we want to have those resources where whenever you do say you cannot afford the therapy or you just don't know where you can go for resources, we want you to be able to come to us, to this group, so you can be able to reach in and get those resources out. We might be able to recommend you to someone that's in your area that may not be charging, or they may be doing sponsoring XJWs. You just never know. So it's all about reaching out.
Yes. And I don't think I have the PowerPoint out, but we don't want you to be afraid to come and to reach out to the admins, because we may have resources, we may have ways to contact people to help you in your particular situation when you're getting out. So as we were discussing those key elements, making a plan, getting in contact with people, finding a place to stay, getting therapy, getting the social services and support that you need. These are real practical resources that we want to make available to members of the group. So if you are in the United States, I mean, I can't promise anything on an international scale, but if you are in the United States, please reach out to us, send a message, and we will help you as best we can.
Don't ever be afraid, because that's what we're here for. So don't ever be afraid. Don't feel embarrassed. We're not here to judge anybody. We all have our issues. I'm one to say that I can use some therapy myself. Like I said, this is the reason why I started the group, because I need to have some talk therapy. I feel like I can heal through helping others heal. So please just don't think you're going to be judged because you like, oh, I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have this. I don't have that. A closed mouth never gets fed. That's one thing I do know, and that's something that I was brought up on. So you gotta open up your mouth. Well, I get not brought up on it. I say I learned it when I got older, but you gotta open up your mouth and ask for the help.
That is true. So we got about 15 minutes left. As I said, if anyone wants to jump in on the conversation, again, you're not required to show your face. You're not required to say your name. If that's a concern of yours, when you join, just let me know somewhere in the comments and I can make sure everything's turned off. So I was thinking, since we were talking about those resources, why don't we sit back and just kind of give the group a little bit of an update on where we're at with coming up with real resources. So I recently spoke with a woman that I would say is very, very sympathetic towards the ex-Jehovah's Witness situation. She was actually on a board of a social services organization here in the state that I lived, and gave me the name of their president and her information. So we are actually hoping to get hooked up with them to actually do more than just, get our tax status and make things legit, but to actually get a program going. And that program is going to focus on therapy. Apparently, the organization likes to work with other nonprofits to kind of get their services out. So that's one place that we're at. Also got feedback from, well, not feedback, but reached out to 2 lawyers today, and sometime during this week, we will be hearing about the legal options that Jehovah's Witnesses can take. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, the focus has been on just, getting all the legal paperwork done for the Institute, making sure everything's on the up and up. We will be looking for volunteers starting next month. So if you're interested in volunteering, reach out to me. I'll hook you up with an application. There is a background check process, but again, that's to make sure everyone's safe.
That's right. And I've been working on one thing, which I have to do an email this evening when we're done with this. It's a young man that's reaching out to us. I believe he's going to be featured on your site on the for the Institute. But anyone that's interested in getting their story out, as far as book wise, he's asking for stories, and he's able to get you out there, get your story out there as well. So that's going to be some more upcoming information that we're going to have for the group as well. So if you are a person that wants to really get your story out, like I said, you never know who you can help with your stories. I'm all about, let's get your stories out. Let's open up our mouths. Let's be loud about it. There's no need to keep quiet about an organization that's hurting people. There's no need. It's not nice. So that's another thing we're working on.
Yes. All right, we're coming up on the top of the hour soon.
We can talk about the other. Well, I know we got another discussion on Wednesday. It's going to be at 7:00 too. Mm-hmm. Right now we're doing Eastern Standard Time because we are not on the Pacific or the Central, and we always do a replay. So even in the replays, I always do a watch party probably about 12 or 1 o'clock after we've done this one. So this one, they'll always be on the wall, and then you can also find the topics in the under the topics tab. You can find the discussions under the topics tabs across the top of the page. So you're always able to go in here and inside of the discussions, look at discussions. You can still comment on the discussions. It will still comment back to you. I actually make sure that I try to respond to each and every comment that comes through. That's what I do. I respond back all the time. So if you're worried about, hey, we're not on Eastern Standard Time, feel free to hop on at any time and, be involved in the discussion. Put your, listen to it, share your input, and I still will go ahead and input either Jessica or I will definitely still, conversate with you, especially during the watch parties. You can still see the same information.
All right, so 2 more things. Do not forget Token Talk Tuesday, November 3rd. The information is in the on the page somewhere. There's also a public event, I believe, on the Institute page. So again, we will be posting the link about a couple of hours before the actual event, but it's November 3rd, and we'll be reviewing some good old ganja and discussing the creepy obsession that Jehovah's Witnesses have with sex. So that'll be a very interesting evening. We also have a spoken word night coming up. I believe it's the 14th of November. So get to writing that poetry. We hope to hear from you.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
I can't wait for any of the events.
I don't think there's any, am I forgetting anything else before we sign off?
I don't think we're forgetting anything else other than the fact, I just want them to make sure that they're utilizing the, because there are things in the tabs. There's information in all of those tabs. Our mentoring program, I want to go over that one more time. Each time that we do this, there are people that need mentors, and there are also people that could use some mentorship. We do have a mentorship tab up there across the top of the page as well. So if you want to mentor someone, or if you need someone, I spend a lot of time on the phone, either going back and forth, talking with people that these are people that's in our group that may need someone to listen to them, someone just to talk to, or either, I'm on the phone with you. So I'm like real live in there too to help with it. It not only helps me, it helps out the person that needs it. So please do me a favor, if you're interested in mentoring, hop up under that tab and sign up for it. You can match yourself up with someone and be a part of the program. I'm asking that people, please, if you're in the group, please invite people. You never know who the group may be able to help out. They may be able to use some of the resources that we have available or that are coming available. So please just make sure that you are inviting other people to the group. Please interact, engage, because that's what a support group is all about. If you see somebody has a post or whatever on the wall, sometimes people just need to talk, or they just want someone to hear them. If they're putting that post up there, 9 times out of 10, they would like to get some type of feedback. So do me a favor, if y'all don't mind and you guys are in the group and you want to be supportive in this group, just comment up there in the post, like the post. Let each other know that you are here for support, because that's the reason why you came to the group. I would hope so. So we want to make sure that we're still engaging and being of support to each other.
All right.
Yeah, I think that was about it.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for viewing today. If you'd like, I can post the PowerPoint with the notes in the group. Let me know.
Yes, let's do that, because they liked the PowerPoint that you posted the other day too. The last one that we did, they liked that one as well.
Okay, so yeah, if you guys like that, just let me know and I'll put it up there. All right.
And it's probably good for them to be able to see anyway, because some people really do want to know how to get out and stay out or whatever. So that'll be good.
All right.
Well, thank you guys for joining us on XJW Talk Therapy and Support, and we will see you guys back here on Wednesday at 7:00 p.m.